Alright, so even the score, if you total the score up, 33 to 28, it adds to 61. 61, what do you think of? Obama was born in 61. The American Civil War began in 61. There's a ton of other 61, but since I've talked about the 34 coding and the 33 coding in this, look at the number 34 in Gematria. It adds to 61 even. It was also the first time...
So funny. Which one, Billy?
Let me find an article here that says it. It's the first time Nebraska lost a home opening game, or a first opening game, not home opening. The loss marked Nebraska's first opening game defeat since 1985. Now this number has been coded in pretty much every big news story as of late. And I'll just show you here. I guess here's just some of them. So we had the theater shootings. You remember the one shooting, the guy was originally 59, and then they changed his age to 58. Allison Parker, the lady who got shot in the new shooting, they found her on Facebook, and her real name was actually Allison Bailey. If you do Allison Bailey Parker, it's the mirror, it's 85. King James, it's all about Revelation, and Philadelphia is in Revelation. There's a ton of things with it, but King James actually died at the age of 58. Allison Parker, just 58. The guy who shot her, 58. Bridgewater, 58. There's a ton more 58. And I talked about how they coded this movie so many times. The movie came out in 89, which is significant with Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. But where Marty goes, the movie starts in 1985. Marty goes to 2015. Or he goes to 1955 and 1885, whatever. But 2015 is this year. But the movie ends on October 27th, 1985, and the time machine gets destroyed by a train. That's all to do with the movie Trainwreck, and the train wreck that was in Philadelphia earlier this year. I've talked about it tons of times, but check out Bif Tannen then. Let's just look at Bif Tannen. Remember, Marty goes to the future, and then he comes back, and Biff is like the rich guy who owns all the casinos because he used the Gray's sports almanac, like Freddie Gray, and there's all them connections with Gray. You had Dr. McDreamy on Gray's Anatomy who died, Freddie Gray. 50 Shades of Grey came out in Black History Month this year. But anyway, Biff was born on March 26, 1937. So Biff wins at the casino then on his 21st birthday, which would be in 1958. And March 26th is the 85th day of the year. So Biff won all that money in, whatever, I just said it. In 1958, on the 85th day of the year, this whole movie is set, pretty much, it all goes back to 1985. Even in Gematria, Bif Tannen, 85. You're telling me they don't code stuff. They code stuff like crazy in these movies and everything else. It's so ridiculous. So I'm not sure exactly why they're coding Biff. Biff is totally coded with all these news stories. I talked about Princess Margaret, but this one, I really want to go back and watch these movies now and study Biff a little bit more. Anyway, Biff is played by this guy, Thomas F. Wilson. Look at this. He's even born on April 15th, the same day that Abraham Lincoln died, the same day of the Boston bombing, the Titanic sinking. A ton of stuff happens on this day. It's just so ridiculous. He's even born in Philadelphia. What are the odds of that? He married his wife in 1985. No way. That's insane. His real name is Thomas Francis Wilson Jr. Even born in 59. Seen this number a ton of times. 59 and 95. I've talked about how it has to do with Antichrist a long time ago. But also deals with black people. Tons of black people. Negro 59, slave 59, cotton picker 59. Just, it never ends, you know. But look at this guy in Gematria. 95, so the mirror of 59. And then also 266. Pope Francis is the 266th Pope. 9/23, the day that everyone has been talking about like crazy. The 266th day of the year. I even see that he's in the SpongeBob movie, the new one about time travel and whatever. And that movie was super loaded with stuff too. But I'm going to get off of this subject here because there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about this football game still. So everything's seems like coded around 923 or 922. Whenever the Pope's coming, it seems like there's been a lot of coding to that. But BYU is actually a private university owned by the Church of the Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. That is, they're Mormons. So yeah, it's informally the Mormon Church. And it's even led by this guy right now, who was born on the same day as Princess Margaret, who I talked about was coded with 85 and 58. Tons of stuff. I made like a 3-part video on her. Even he's 88 years old. He just turned 88 years old. Sorry, this trackpad is terrible, but just turned 88 years old. But I talked about the Book of Mormon in a video a while back about how it's 239 chapters, like the 923, the 239th day is 827 that we just had, whatever, but 239 chapters in the Book of Mormon, which is 23-9, 923. Also, it was from approximately until 421 AD. 421 is when Queen Elizabeth was born. And I never noticed some of this stuff. I talked about Joseph Smith was allowed to take the plates on September 22nd, 1827. Interesting, September 22nd, the day that Pope Francis is coming to the United States. So, I mean, the 923 and then the 922, I've talked about that a ton. It even says the Book of Mormon went on sale at the bookstore of E.B. Grandin in New York on March 26, 1830, the 58th day of the year. Interesting enough, even down here it talks about only 28% of the original manuscript now survives, including a remarkable find of fragments from 58 pages in 1991. Really? 58 pages, huh? And check out the word Mormon in Gematria. 88, like the speed of time travel, and Mormon, 34. That was the whole game. The Nebraska Cornhusker game is all about 34. So interesting that BYU would win. They are even the Latter-day Saints, or Latter-day Saint is what a Mormon is, right? Look what that adds up to. 52. What are the odds that it adds up to 52? It's 239 chapters, the Book of Mormon. The 239th prime number, 52. Anyway, I'm starting to run out of time, so I'm going to move on here. This is the head coach of BYU in his 11th year, born on the 52nd day of the year, 221. The mirror day, or the 221st day is 8-9. Queen Elizabeth is 89 this year. There's 144 days left. I'll post the video to the numbers so it makes more sense. But this guy was born in 66 even, and he's aged 49. They're all interrelated. I've shown it multiple times. So interesting that he would beat Nebraska. I mean, or just win this game, you know. I even see something here about Corvallis, Oregon. That is where the Mike Riley is from, the Nebraska coach. He coached there, and that's where Oregon State University is. It says he served as a graduate assistant coach there, so really weird. So this guy even coached then at Oregon State, it looks like, it says 1996, and then he went to Louisiana Tech. Mike Riley, the Nebraska coach, he started coaching at Oregon State the next year. So Oregon State 97, 98. Who knows? Just kind of interesting, I guess. I guess another thing I want to point out is the final pass of the game was a 42-yard pass then, and it was a Hail Mary pass, right? Hail Mary adds up to 42. Just like the Latter-day Saints Church, LDS Church, that's what they call it. LDS Church, 42. Hail Mary, 42. Is a 42-yard pass. Also, this guy, Mitch Matthews, MM Jam, whatever. But it says his hometown is Beaverton, Oregon, and I talked about Penn State. They play in Beaver Stadium. Mike Riley was actually in trouble because of he got sued the other day, or whatever. They started the trial, they started a case against him about his players raping the girl, and that's about Beaver. He even used to coach the Oregon State Beavers. The name even kind of reminds me of Eminem, the rapper, because in the Stan video, the guy who tries to be just like him or whatever is Matthew Mitchell. Doesn't have to mean much, just reminds me of that. And I looked up Eminem, and hold on one sec. Of course, Eminem is 42 years old. Whatever. This guy also, then in the game tonight, he threw 3 receptions for 69 yards. I've been talking about 69 a lot with the 69 and the 139, like September 13th. There's also the partial eclipse that's on September 13th. Just seems like it's been a really significant number and whatever. But 69 adds up to 139. If you even do 139, it adds up to 69. Or 13-9, 69. So, found that interesting. Also, the guy who threw the ball then, just want to point out a few things. Maybe only one. The 7-Eleven in Lincoln, Nebraska. The blood moon will be visible at 7:11 p.m. on September 27th, the last day that Pope Francis is in the United States. But he's from Eagle, Idaho, so you either think America, but as of recent, when I think of Eagle, I think of the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been showing you Tim Tebow in the news like crazy. Just the Pope's going there. They even had to bless they wanted to have the Pope bless Sam Bradford's knees. Whatever, he even threw for 111 yards. 111 days left is September 11th. 4/21 is Queen Elizabeth's birthday, the 111th day of the year. He's also number 12, which ties into the Tom Brady. In the Super Bowl last year, you even had the game that was on 2-1. Russell Wilson threw his 21st pass intercepted by number 21. They should have ran it to Marshawn Lynch, who was the 12th pick in the draft. It was on 2nd and 1. I mean, there's ridiculousness. That's all I could say. And number 12, it just makes me think of that again. And since I got a little bit more time, I never added in the previous video. I just put a little note there. And I'm just going to end it here. But I talked about the Penn State and the Nebraska connection, and it all tied into the Jerry Sandusky stuff and whatnot. In this movie, Tommy Boy, the movie's set in Sandusky, Ohio. And anyone in the world who has seen this movie remembers the part in the very beginning where he's at college and he answers the question Herbie Hancock instead of John Hancock. So I just find that very interesting. Talked about Herbie. Chris Farley says Herbie Hancock, and they even mention it again later in this movie. And the whole movie is the brake pad place is set in Sandusky, Ohio, like Jerry Sandusky. It's just craziness. It even came out on 3/31, so like the mirror of 133, Pope Francis became the Pope on 3/13, type of 14, but 3/13 of 2013. I mean, talked about this day tons. Chris Farley even died at the age of 33. His full name in gematria is 288. The 288th day, October 15th, this year will be the 89th World Catholic Mission Day. Queen Elizabeth is 89. It's also the first day of the calendar again, of the Gregorian calendar. Or the Gregorian calendar started this day 433 years ago, and 433 is the 84th prime. So it all ties into Obama and whatnot. So, whatever. Gonna leave it at that. Sports are rigged. I wish people could just wake up and see it, but whatever. Have a good night.